What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV back here in the studio. We finally got back to London after a couple of days of being, I say stuck in Israel, but it was like more and more a forced holiday. It was really good fun. Got to see Spurs out there, got to go to the beach and all the fun things that you saw in the vlog. But now it's time to get down to business as the Premier League starts very soon. Tomorrow night, Arsenal kick off against Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park for the opener of the Premier League. So what we're doing today is we're going to be predicting our 1 to 20 in the Premier League, seeing who we think is going to go down, who we think is going to make Europe, who we think is going to win the league and stuff like that. We've also got a video coming out a bit later today with all different kind of predictions like top goal scorer, player of the year and all that kind of stuff. But today for this video, we're just going to be focusing on our 1 to 20 and seeing how similar or not similar me and Sim have chosen. So yeah, let's get into it. Without further ado, let's get into relegation. How are you feeling about this one, Sim?
Yeah, I think when I look at the bottom three right now, look, the competition in the Premier League is just getting tougher and tougher. It's getting much harder to stay in the Premier League without spending a lot of money. You saw last season the teams that went down, I think correlated, they happen to be three of the poorest teams in the Premier League. And I think it's getting harder for Championship teams to stay up. So I have gone for two Championship teams who have got promotion to go down. I've got Fulham to finish 18th, Bournemouth 20th, and then in 19th I have Everton. But look, this is all subject to change because right now they've sold Richarlison, haven't replaced him. Calvert-Lewin is going to be missing for the first month at least of the season. I think their signings right now, look, I do think Tarkowski and McNeil are decent players. Are there players for them?
Players that just went
down.
down.
They just went down. Although you put them around better players, and I think they will be better. But they need. I think they're players who, if you put them in a more functioning team right now, they might look better players. But you put them in with Everton, with Frank Lampard, and I think they could be made to look worse than they are. I'm worried about them. I'm not going to lie. I think that they're going to be in real trouble, especially the way they were playing last season. Even under Lampard, even in their big wins, look, fair play to them. They got wins when they really needed to. They ground out results, but I didn't think they were playing great. They weren't great performances. They were just everyone was fighting, and that can get you. That can only get you so far without the quality. I don't think there's someone that's going to they're going to kick on. So I think as of right now, obviously depending on the transfers, I think they're going down. And Bournemouth as well. I don't like their business they've done at all.
They've done no business, pretty much. They've signed one player for 10 million, and that was it.
Yeah. Not really.
A couple of freebies in there too.
You know, Ryan Fredericks from West Ham, like he never made the grade at Spurs. I don't think he was especially good. They look like they let Gary Cahill go on a free. He could have been someone for that Premier League experience who might be good having him around, but they've let him go. I don't like what their business, and I think they're already quite weak going into it. So I see them. I think they're obviously going down. Fulham are a difficult one. I actually think Fulham are under Marco Silva a very good footballing team, and I like how they absolutely battered teams last season. I think they got was it a record for goals in a Championship season? I think
was it a record? Was it?
I think so, because every week they were scoring 4 or 5 goals.
Oh yeah. With Mitrovic scoring bag for the goals.
And
yeah.
I do back them to be better than they were last time in the Premier League. But as I said, the competition is so tough. Whether that'll be good enough for them to stay up, I've got question marks, so I've gone for Fulham as well.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't really make my mind up in terms of the relegation. I think Bournemouth, for me, are nailed on to finish bottom of the league with the business they've done. Like my brother said, I mean, everything in this video is subject to change to see what happens at the end of the transfer window. Anything literally can change here. But as of now, shooting 1 day before the start of the season, I think the business Bournemouth have done, like you said, have been absolutely terrible. And I think they're going to go bottom of the league. I've actually gone Fulham for 19th instead of 18th because I think, you know, Fulham historically a yo-yo club. They have done some decent business this summer, but I think that you know, I think teams like Leeds and Forest and Brentford and Everton will just be that little bit better for them. And you know, they've brought in a lot of players, and sometimes that can work against you, especially if you're fighting at the bottom of the league. So I've gone for Fulham in 19th, and 18th I've gone for Everton. They're just not doing anything really. I think like Frank Lampard as their manager is already a down mark against them. They just about saved themselves last year. They got rid of Richarlison, who single-handedly pretty much kept them up. And you're looking at that squad, and is there anyone outstanding there that can actually, when push comes to shove, step up for the team. I don't think there is. So I've actually gone for Everton 18th. So it's actually funny that we've gone for the same three teams to be relegated.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. Yeah, we haven't seen each other's predictions, so this is we're seeing for the first time. But yeah, we've gone for something very similar. So, but look, if Everton do get some good signings, it could all change. And also, you've got the World Cup; it could all change after that as well.
Well, let's get into the rest of the bottom half. I'll go first on this one. So I've gone for Leeds 17th just to save themselves. Forest in 16th. Brentford 15th, Southampton 14th, Brighton 13th, Leicester 12th, and Wolves 11th. We've got the same teams in there, just a different order. I mean, I was flirting with Leeds for relegation because they have lost their two big assets in Calvin Phillips and Rafinha. They have done decent business. I mean, they've spent a lot of money, but you don't know if these players are going to acclimatise to the Premier League and how quickly they're going to acclimatise to the Premier League. So I actually had them down as potentially getting relegated, but I just about saved them when I compared them to Everton and potentially Fulham as well. So I actually think Leeds are going to be there in a dogfight, but I think they'll just have enough to save themselves. Forest, I actually think are going to do well this season for what Forest have signed. I think Jesse Lingard will probably do a good job. I think they've done some other bits of business as well. Brentford is an interesting one because I was saying that Brentford also could be in a dogfight this year, but they have made a few interesting signings. That Hickey at wing back, I think, is going to be good this season, and they're also potentially bringing Mikkel Damsgaard to replace Christian Eriksen, which could, bring them that creativity in the middle, which Eriksen really brought them at the back end of last season. And you got to remember with Brentford, before Eriksen came in, they were pretty much sleepwalking to relegation, and Eriksen came in and completely changed their season. So if Damsgaard can really come and knuckle down in the Premier League and produce for them creatively, I think they can do well this season and stay in the Premier League another year. Southampton is an interesting one. I think that you know what you're going to get with Southampton, really. They kept James Ward-Prowse, and I think that'll be massive for them. I'm not actually sure what business Southampton have done this season, but I think they'll be just about enough to save themselves from the drop. Brighton losing Bissouma and Cucurella could actually be big for them, but I think the way Potter likes to manage, I think he's a system manager, and I think he knows how his teams like to shape up, and I think they'll have enough there. Leicester as well. I mean, I think actually Leicester could be lower than what I've predicted them in 12th. I mean, they're in trouble. An aging Vardy, they're losing players. I mean, Wesley Fofana as well could be leaving. They could be in trouble, Leicester. Wolves, I think they'll be all right. So that's my predictions for the bottom half.
Yeah, I've gone for Brentford in 17th, Southampton 16th, Forest in 15th, Brighton 13th, Leicester 12th, Leeds 11th, and Leicester 13th, Leeds 12th, and Wolves in 11th. Brentford, I think, could be suffering a bit from second season syndrome after a really impressive first season. You got to give it to them. I think losing Eriksen was obviously a massive blow to them. They did sign Ben Mee from Burnley. That should maybe reinforce their defence, but I think they got. They had a really strong start to the season, then it went really, really bad before Eriksen came. They had a very strong end, but whether some of these players are going to keep up the quality they were showing last season, I do have question marks over that. I think a lot of the players outperformed themselves, a bit like Sheffield United now first in the Premier League. I think a lot of the players outperformed themselves and they couldn't keep up. I feel like that could be similar, but I do have them just about staying up in 17th. Southampton, I have in 16th. I do like a bit of their business. I think Aribo from Rangers. I think he's a pretty good centre midfielder. Haribo, exactly. Bazunu is a goalkeeper where they've had that issue for a long time. I know they had Forster last season, but McCarthy and Forster and Caballero, they had problems in keeper for a while. So I think getting that position sorted is a good bit of business. I agree with you, keeping Ward-Prowse is big. Although, massive question marks, no Broja next season. He's not returning, so a lot of reliance on Shea Adams and on Adam Armstrong, who obviously had a very difficult first season. So I do wonder where the goals are going to come from. But if they do keep Kyle Walker-Peters and their attacking system, I think it's and I like Hudson Tutu. I think he's a good manager. So I've got them to finish 16th, which would be a disappointing season. Nottingham Forest obviously have had an absolutely brilliant summer by their standards. Lingard obviously on a free, but they've signed a host of players. I think Dean Henderson, quality signing in goal. I think Omar Richardson from Bayern Munich, a left back, he's decent. But one I think is really very interesting is Moussa Niakite from Mainz. He had a really strong season last season in the Bundesliga, and I think that could be a very solid signing for them. And obviously, I think in the second half of the Championship last season, they were possibly the best team in the Championship. I know they've lost Jed Spence, who was obviously a big player for them, but I reckon they could be in for a good season and definitely staying up in 15th. Brighton, I've gone for 13th. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Graham Potter. I think the way they play should be able to keep them up, but the business they've done this season, losing Cucurella and Basuma, probably Cucurella and Basuma, is going to hurt them. So I do have them dropping below, dropping into the bottom half. Leicester are in a bit of turmoil, although no European football next season should help. Aging Vardy, Maddison potentially unsettled from all this speculation. Fofana as well could be out the door. And I think that their business, I don't think has been particularly inspiring so far. They've lost a leader in the camp in Kasper Schmeichel, so he's gone. The only business they've done so far is Dennis Pratt on permanent, which is they've lost Lookman as well. I can see them definitely regressing next season, although they should have some injuries back, and Harvey Barnes is improving, so that's positive. But I think they're going to be bottom half next season. There's Leicester. Leeds, I've actually gone upper of the bottom half of the table. I really like the business they've done. I think despite losing Calvin Phillips and Rafinha, I think they've really targeted good quality up-and-coming players from the Bundesliga, and obviously Sinestra from Feyenoord. He's a really good winger. Brendan Aronson, an American, really talented.
Salzburg,
yeah, he's American from Salzburg. And obviously Jesse March, I think he was at Salzburg before, so he knows that team really well. So I think he's gone and got some calculated business, and I like that they've signed quite a few good players from the Salzburg and from Leipzig as well. So I actually think they could be in for a decent season for them, although I don't see them breaking the top half. And then Wolves, I've gone for finishing just in the bottom half, although had a pretty strong season last season.
Fell off, didn't they, last couple of months?
They fell off quite badly, and I think they were when they were good, they were outperforming themselves, and I don't think they've done particularly great business. Nathan Collins for 20 million, I don't think it's going to improve them massively.
You've got to remember Pedro Neto coming back from the start of the season be massive for them.
Yeah, and hopefully Jimenez will be better as well. But yeah, I think they're going to...
He's also starting the season injured, I'm hearing Jimenez. He's out for the first month of the season.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. And Adama Traore is back in as well, so they're going to have him back. But I feel like when they were grinding out results a lot of the time, but they're outperforming themselves. And I don't see them doing that as much this season. So yeah, that's my bottom half assessments.
So out of all the bottom half teams, I think the only one we got exactly spot on was Wolves, both finishing 11th, right? Anyone else? So we got Leicester, you went for Leeds, Brighton, Leicester.
So yeah, same teams, just different positions.
I mean, you don't have Forest there somehow. So Forest...
I do. Forest are 15th.
Oh, Nottingham. Oh, it was spelled differently. But all right, fine. Let's go and look at 10 till... What have we got here? 10 till 7 in the league. So, yeah, you want to take us away this time?
Yeah, very similar to you. Well, yeah, 10th, I've got Aston Villa. 9th, Crystal Palace. 8th, West Ham. And 7th, Newcastle. I think Villa, I believe they've just finished bottom half last season, I think, under Steven Gerrard. And I think another, with more time adjusting to how he wants to coach and a full pre-season, should be better for them. Although, have they done enough to bridge the gap to the top 7. I still have question marks. I think Diego Carlos is a really solid signing at centre back. That should help. That should help with some of their defensive frailties. Although spending big money on Philippe Coutinho, I still think he's. I still believe he's inconsistent, and I don't know whether he's going to be the player for them to start bridging the gap to the teams where they need to be. Although Boubacar Kamara is a decent signing in a centre mid, helping out with John McGinn and Louise. I think he had a very good season for Marseille last season, so I think they'll be all right for 10th, but I don't see them getting any higher. Crystal Palace, I think, have had a really good summer. Not only that, they've kept Zaha. I think they've got such an exciting front three, Crystal Palace, with Zaha, Olise and Eze. I think they've done really well with that, although they're in the central striking department, it could be a bit of work. I think Cheik Doucouré, apparently statistically one of the most impressive midfielders in Liga last season. Chris Richards from Bayern Munich, very highly rated centre-back. Sam Johnston in goal as well should help provide competition with Guaita. So as long as they're getting their defence right, I think their attack is going to be very dangerous. I think they're going to be a very dangerous counter-attacking team next season. I think Vieira's doing a decent job, so I've gone for a top half finish. West Ham, done really good business, to be fair to him so far, and could add to it. I think Scamacca finally have a striker who's going to give competition to Antonio. That's the main thing. And I think obviously linked with Kostic as well. If they can get him through the door, that'll be a good signing. But with Conference League football, I do think that could be a bit of a distraction, because I do think they'll take it seriously. So I do think they could miss out on European football unless they win the Conference League. They could miss out to Newcastle, who I think are on a massive upward trajectory right now in terms of performances. Eddie Howe's doing a fantastic job. They've signed the guy who was it, Sven Botman. He was a really good signing. Nick Pope in goal as well. That's solid, and I think they're going to do a lot more business from now to the end of the summer. So I've got them to sneak into a Conference League position.
Interesting. I mean, I've gone for the exact same as you, but West Ham and Newcastle were switched around. I think West Ham, with the last 2 seasons under Moyes, they're just a more settled team, in my opinion. I think, like Newcastle, you've got to give credit and respect to what Eddie Howe did there last season. And, you can take a bit of comparison. Maybe, look, I'm not saying they're going to do amazing things next season, Newcastle, but when you look at Leicester, the year before they won the league, they had that momentum going from the last few months of the season. And I got a feeling Newcastle could have a similar effect. I mean, I don't think they're going to finish top 6 or anything like that, but I do think they're going to have a strong season. And I think them and West Ham are really going to be fighting for that Conference League spot. And I think it's going to be a really interesting fight, but I've gone for West Ham just to pip it. The other 2, Crystal Palace and Aston Villa, I've gone for Crystal Palace just below Newcastle in 9th place. And like you say, I mean, I'm really impressed with the Doucouré signing. Vieira, I think, knows him well, and I think it's going to be a really interesting signing for them. And Sam Johnston as well in goal is going to be a good signing for them. So Vieira had them playing well last season, and as a second season, I think they're going to get better this season. So I've gone for Palace there, and then underneath them, Aston Villa. And I don't know, I'm unsure what to think about Aston Villa, to be honest. Diego Carlos is a good signing, but apart from that, they haven't really brought anyone else in. I mean, they've got Phil Coutinho, who I think at that level in the Premier League is a very good player to have. So I think Villa will just about finish mid-table, but I think that fight for the Conference League between Newcastle and West Ham is going to be a big one, in my opinion, and I think it could go right to the wire. And it's going to be an interesting battle, very interesting battle. But now let's go and look at our top 6. And I'll take it away for this one. In 6th, I've got Chelsea. In 5th, I've got Man United. In 4th, I've got the Scummers. In 3rd, I've got Tottenham. 2nd, I've got Liverpool. And 1st, I've got Man City. In terms of the title winners, I can't really look anywhere but Man City, especially with the way they performed last season, adding Haaland and Calvin Phillips to that, and potentially more as well. That's just absolutely frightening. If they weren't frightening last season, add Haaland to that, they're even more frightening. So just can't look past Man City. Liverpool are an interesting one, because losing Mane, I think, could be really big for Liverpool. I really do believe that. And if Darwin Núñez doesn't come in and hit the ground running straight away, I feel like this could be a one-horse race for the title. I really believe that. But if Darwin Núñez comes in, I mean, he came on as a sub at half-time in one of the pre-season games, scored 4 goals. So if he does hit the ground running, I think we do have an interesting title race on our hands. But it remains to be seen if he is going to do that. So I'm going for Man City top, Liverpool second. In third, I'm going for Tottenham. I think the signings that we've made going to help us massively. Already adding that to a settled team as well, where we were on really good form at the back end of last season that saw us clinch that top 4. So I'm going for us in third. Arsenal, unfortunately, I'm going into fourth. I think, I know you can't really tell much from pre-season, but they have looked really good, and Gabriel Jesus has seemed to just fit in like a glove there. And I think them just about missing out on top 4. It's not really me saying how good I think Arsenal are. I think it's just me looking at Man United and Chelsea, thinking that I don't think either of them are going to do it. I think Chelsea, I've got a feeling that Chelsea are going to have one of those shocking seasons this year. I just got that feeling about Chelsea. I mean, they just seem a mess at the moment. Tuchel doesn't seem happy at all. Yeah, they're making some signings, but I'm not sure if they're making the signings in the right area. I mean, they're going for Cucurella at the moment for big money. And I just don't see where he fits in there. I don't understand why they're signing him for big money when they need other options. I mean, they need a number 9 desperately. There's talks about Aubameyang, there's talks about Sesko, but nothing's been done yet. But what I'm basing this on, this league table that I'm looking at now, is the transfer business that is done right now. But you can't really tell what's going to happen in the future. I mean, if Chelsea all of a sudden go out there and sign a good number 9 and maybe a few others in few various positions, that will probably get me to propel them into the 4th position. But right now, I've got a feeling Chelsea could have a bit of a stinker. And I've actually gone for Man United to finish above Chelsea, which is an interesting one. And I think Ten Hag is going to get to grips with this Man United side. I mean, he's a guy that seems like he doesn't take any shit as well. And I think that the players that they've got there with Rashford, Martial, speedsters up front that can really press from the front, I think Man United could actually deceive a few people this season. But I've still got them in to finish 5th.
Yeah, I've got Man United in 6th. I think I've got United 6th, Arsenal 5th, Chelsea 4th, Spurs 3rd, Liverpool 2nd, Man City top. I've got Man United in 6th because I think that with Europa League football, I think that they might see that as more of a route to the Champions League than the top 4. I see them going deep in that competition. Do they have the squad depth to cope with a top 4 challenge and potential going deep into Europa League football and whatever it brings with it? I don't think so, despite some good talent they have right now. Ronaldo issue isn't going away. I do think at the moment he's not a positive influence in the dressing room, despite the fact he was their top goal scorer last season. So if right now, if they keep him, I think it could be detrimental to the atmosphere, and they won't know what to do with him, because you can't have Ronaldo part of the squad and not play him. But then again, is he perfect fit for how Ten Hag wants to play? And is he happy right now? Is he going to spit his dummy out the pram and stuff like that? So I don't see Man United being the most complete harmonious place. Although I do agree with you, Ten Hag is a good manager. I think he will get them playing good football, but I see him more as like having kind of what Poch had in his first season, some good results, some bad results, but a bit of inconsistent form. I've gone for Arsenal in 5th because I see them having a very strong start to the season. There are obviously issues right now surrounding certain players. We don't know what the situation's going to be following during the season. But they have made some astute signings in Jesus and Zinchenko, and I do think that they could hit the ground running. But when you've got to remember, last season they were playing 1 game a week, and they were playing quite well. But with added European football, might take a toll on their squad. And again, it's quite similar to Man United. I see Arsenal actually having a fairly deep run in the Europa League, and do they have the squad capable of competing on both fronts? And they might see Europa League as their best route to Champions League football. So I can see later in the season them coming a bit unstuck when it comes to a top 4 race. And whether they're in Europa League, well, remains to be seen. But I can see that being a difference. When it comes to Chelsea, they're a bit of a mess right now. But in terms of quality of signings, they've made quite good quality. Koulibaly and Sterling, and what's his name? Koulibaly and Sterling. Obviously, they let go, and They have Conor Gallagher coming back from Crystal Palace. He's going to be part of the team as well. He beefs up their midfield quite impressively. Broja at the moment could potentially be an option up front as well. So I think that they still have the nucleus of a very decent team. Obviously, Tuchel is still there from last season, so that continuity is still there. I reckon they could have a bit of a rocky start to the season, but once they get settled and once they have a bit of harmony in the squad again, I think the results will start to come. So I see I see them sneaking into the top 4. Third, Spurs. I think we have made a fantastic signings in the summer. I think we've really reinforced the squad in terms of depth and in terms of quality depth. I don't see us closing the gap enough to Liverpool and City to say that we're going to really challenge the top 2. Although I do see us closing the gap from last season. I think, what was it, 20 points last season? I see us closing that gap, maybe to like 10 points or something like that, but I just don't see enough right now to suggest that we're definitely going to completely close the gap and seriously challenge for the title. But I do think I think the way we are at the moment, the harmony in the squad and the quality, I think we're going to pull away a bit from Chelsea and Arsenal. So hopefully we'll be closer to the top 2 than the other teams, and that's what I'm hoping for. But I do see us in third. Second, I've just gone for Liverpool. I still think it's going to be a close run race. I don't think it's going to be a one-horse race. I think Diaz is going to have more experience in the Premier League, so hopefully his goal output will increase. I think Darwin Núñez, Jota, and obviously Salah's new contract was massive. I think there are enough goals in there for Liverpool to have enough firepower to keep up with City. And then I still think they've got obviously the best fullbacks in the league. I still think they've got extremely strong midfield. So I've gone them to give City a close run, but I can't see anything past Man City right now. Reinforcing Rodri with Calvin Phillips was a fantastic piece of business. 2 strikers in Alvarez and Haaland. I mean, Erling Haaland is an absolute goal machine. If he doesn't get at least 20 to 25 goals, that'll be a massive surprise going into this season. Everyone's saying that's what they've been calling out for, an absolute goal poacher machine, and he should really be that for Man City. And then I think Jack Grealish having 1 year to acclimatise, I think he's going to be in for a strong season, assisting Haaland for many, many goals. I can see him having a strong season. The only question marks is, they've lost Sterling, and I know there was a couple of years ago now, but they lost Sane a couple of years ago. They've kind of lost that real proper speed they had up front. But maybe they're starting to play in a different way. Maybe they're going to try, obviously they like to keep possession and stuff, and so maybe they just need a few more of those playmaker types rather than the speedsters, and they're giving that to Haaland now. So they still have obviously the likes of Phil Foden, Bernardo Silva, De Bruyne. These players are the best in the business at playmaking. So if they're moving the direction more in that way, they shouldn't have a problem. So I can't look past Man City, and I've gone for them for champions.
Yeah. All right. So, that is our predictions, 1 to 20 in the Premier League. I want to know what you thought of our predictions. Which ones do you think is more likely? And I want to know your predictions as well. Put your 1 to 20s in the comments section below. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Very excited for the big kickoff of the season tomorrow night at Selhurst Park. So up the Palace, and we'll see you all very soon. Check out our further prediction video where we predict more specific things that are going to be happening in this season. Thank you everyone for joining. Like, subscribe and comment, and as always, come on you Spurs.